transforming musical linguistic objects.
Greetings from Cyberdelic Space. This is Lorenzo, and I'm your host here in the Psychedelic Salon. Since today's program is a bit longer than usual, I'll dispense with my usual witty remarks and and begin instead by trying to paint a verbal picture of what it was like on the playa at Burning Man this year when Ann and Sasha Shulgin gave their presentation in the big tent in Theon Village. It was only a couple of hours before they were scheduled to talk when I discovered that the village had run out of biodiesel fuel and the generators had quit running. But before I even had a chance to become concerned, good old Darren, Mark, Michael, and the rest of the sound crew were already busy setting up a portable generator to provide enough backup power to operate our amplifier. Unfortunately, the little generator didn't provide enough power to also run the big exhaust fans that had helped to cool the inside of the tent on previous days. And so by the time the Shulgins began their question and answer session, it was hot, as in really hot inside what the satellite photos now show to be the largest structure at this year's festival. And it wasn't just the desert heat that made it so hot. The tent was packed. The front row of the audience was only a couple of feet away from where the Shulgins were sitting, and the crowd spilled way out into the esplanade. I don't think there was a single space left to sit or stand anywhere near the huge tent that afternoon. So I have no idea how many people were there, but it was certainly our week's largest crowd, and that's really saying something because we had overflow crowds for several of the other speakers as well. So that's a little idea of what the conditions were like, but you don't have to take my word for it. Just go to matrixmasters.com and click on the Burning Man photo link where you can see a few pictures that I took during the talk that you're about to hear, which is the Palenque Norte 2006 edition of Ask the Shulgins.
I'd like to say something about the questions, by the way. There are some people who would love to ask something that they are afraid might sound a little bit confrontational or, disrespectful or something like that. Please don't think that way. Confrontational questions are more fun for us than anything else, actually. So don't hesitate, okay?
And I would like to make one request on questions. Don't bring up questions such as how much phosphoryl chloride do you add to psilocin to make psilocybin? Not today.
And don't be shy. There are only 2 million people watching you.
I'm not shy. Good. I actually have no voice left, but I just want to ask a very general question. What do you think the future of psychedelics is? What's in the making now what's the future of this? What's the next level?
Well, I think much of the future has been is being seen in England and Europe now, and I'm very much afraid that with our current enthusiasm on war on drugs and the enthusiasm of using that war as a political device to get power in Washington and funds in Washington, that I think in the United States it's going to be quite a while before we become rational in the war. I don't think the future is very, very bright in this country. The tendency to... Let me give an example. The word is used by the DEA quite often of something that is not illegal. And this was in one of their brochures on Salvia divinorum. That salvinorin A as a compound and salvinorin, the actual plant was Salvia divinorum, was an illicit plant or an illicit compound. And I'm not certain what they mean by illicit. It does not mean illegal, but they refer to anything that is in the psychedelic area as being illicit. So I don't think they are going to relax their enthusiasm to make more things illegal.
I guess I'm the optimist in this case. There are so many. Whoops, is this working? Can you hear with back? Okay. There are so many people, especially in Europe, but not only in Europe, who are making things and even writing little pamphlets and exploring. I mean, there are a lot of people who love chemistry and like the altered state, and they are all over the place being pretty discreet. If they're not discreet, they get into trouble. And the laws in England, thanks to Amanda, a great deal of the work has been done by her Beckley Foundation. The laws are being looked at for probable revision, and the laws in the other countries of Europe are beginning to change. And I think that even if the United States stays in its hardened position for quite a while, it will eventually be left alone in that position. So I think things are going to change.
Okay, somebody over here?
Sure. I'd like to know what each of your favorite chemicals are that you've developed and a little bit of why. If you had one to take to heaven with you, which would be?
Well, I tend not to I try not to get favorites because I like to keep my liver fairly clear for new materials. And you don't want to get into habits of drug use. I refuse to become a chronic drug user. Well, in the sense that known drugs. But I think probably of the materials that I have explored and looked around, I think 2CB ranks very high on my list.
And for me, I think of the great legendary ones. Mescaline is one of the truly most fantastic drugs. Oh, actually, it's the peyote, which is a visionary plant. But of Sasha's and Dave Nichols' productions, I think 2CB Fly. And I'm not going to explain what that is because I don't know chemistry at all. But the Fly is probably the best. Yeah, going to heaven drug. Well, heaven on earth drugs.
We have somebody over this way. Come on up so at least I can get you the mic. You don't have to come all the way up. And make a path for these venturesome people, if we could. And those of you that want to ask questions, if you start kind of coming up this way, we can't stand right in front of that amp, that mic.
Thank you. Hello. This is kind of a personal question. I just finished my bachelor's in botany. And Say again. I just finished a bachelor's in botany in England, bachelor's degree. And I was wondering if you would know names of people who are carrying out ethnobotanical expeditions now on interesting psychoactive plants. Because it's kind of hard to find out.
Botanical expeditions?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, no, but I think you can find them listed in what are the little magazines that list trips to the Amazon and things like that. Oh.
In Theogen Review, maybe one.
In Theogen Review, and there was a Shaman's Drum. That's the one I was trying to remember. A Shaman's Drum, and there's at least one other one, isn't there? Or those are the main ones. They have ads in those magazines which tell you, what's going on.
Hi. Could you tell me what your thoughts are on using psychedelics in psychotherapy?
Well, I did use psychedelics and MDMA, which is not, strictly speaking, a psychedelic.